Hello and welcome to another Rant Rave review. Today I will be, sadly, not raving about the third Knives Out movie. But not ranting either, but not raving. It was the weakest of the lot, alas, alas. So let's get into it. No spoilers at all this time, but yeah. So the premise is basically there's this tiny little town, this teeny tiny Catholic parish in the middle of nowhere. Young priest is sent to fix it because the old priest is a really bad person and he has a crazy cult of personality that he is creating, I don't know. And there's obviously beef right away between them. And during a mass, the old priest goes into this basically closet with no exits or entrances other than the one, and gets killed. And so it is truly a locked room mystery. Like a real one, not a fake one like in The Maid. And everyone suspects the young priest because he was sitting on the altar area. So he claims not to have done it, and at some point he enlists the help of Blenoit Blanc. And you find out how during the movie. Okay. Let's do the good and the bad. So, the good, the howdone-itness of the movie, because there's actually two different howdone-its. The first is the locked room murder. How did it happen? And then partway through, there is a seemingly supernatural event, but it's obviously not supernatural. So the question is, how did they do it? And that part was really fun and twisty, turny, and interesting. You're like, oh, interesting. Yes. That was great. The priest character, the main character, because in all Knives Out movies you have a little sidekick, although he's more of the main character in this one. So in the first, well, I guess they're not really sidekick, they are main characters. Yeah, in Knives Out you have the nurse. In Glass Onion you have Helen, I believe her name is. And in this movie you have the priest, Father Judd, I don't know his last name, Duplicity or something. Great character. I am always nervous, let's just say, when Hollywood writes any Catholic, but especially a priest. I'm just like, oh, how are you going to fail me now? But no, he was really well written. He was very adorable and trying to be a good priest and just going through it. Just things keep getting worse and worse and worse for him. But no, very well written, very realistic, a good character. Wow, fleshed out. Very, very good. Somewhat to the detriment of the side characters, but we'll get to that when we talk about the bad. Which kind of leads me into a weird transitional thing. The movie, to its credit, did a lot of thematic stuff with reason versus religion and justice versus mercy and a lot of poignant thoughts about that. And to its credit, it did that very, very well, usually. Unfortunately, I didn't sign up for a poignant meditation on justice and punishment and doubt and faith. I signed up for a Knives Out mystery, which brings us smack dab into the bad. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I feel like if this was just a regular old mystery, not on the heels of Glass Onion and Knives Out, I think I would actually like it much more. Unfortunately, it's theoretically a Knives Out mystery with Blenoit Blanc. So that is almost all of my criticism deals with that. So number one, it wasn't very funny because again, it spent a lot of time dealing with these deep philosophical things, and I'm like, you just gotta solve the mystery. And I'll just say, I feel like Hollywood does this a lot. Usually it's in movies with exorcisms, any kind of movie with an exorcism. They're always let's talk about doubt and faith. And I'm like, no, just shut up and have the exorcism. You don't need to do this. And same with this movie. I'm like, you can just have a murder in a church and not deal with any of that. You really don't have to. It's really okay. But to their credit, they handled it very well. But I was like, I want a mystery. I want it to be funny and exciting. And parts of it were exciting. But another again, like drawback or flaw, so much time was spent on those aspects of it, the deep, thoughtful aspects, that the side characters were not fleshed out, which, again, is a problem in a Knives Out mystery. In Knives Out, the entire first third of the movie, the first act of the movie, is spent telling us all about the side characters, all about their motivations and their relationships and why they might be suspects. Like, it's a really big cast of characters, but they are so careful. They do such a good job showing you everyone's, like, intricacies and personalities and not only the motive they might have, but how different things in their lives are connected to other things. So well done. Glass Onion. Now, those characters are more caricatured than in Knives Out, but again, it fleshes them all out, and it shows these different aspects of them and why different things and different things that they want might connect up later. Nice. Wake Up Dead Man? Not really. Not really. Each character basically has, like, one thing about them. Like, there's a lawyer lady who's, like, basically put her life on hold to be, like, a dutiful daughter. Her, perhaps, half-brother who's, like, wants to be, like, he wants to be a politician, but he's basically, like, an influencer for all intents and purposes. This washed-up sci-fi writer who's basically becoming a political writer, even though he hates it, but he's doing it for the, clicks, basically. A hyper-religious lady, her husband who's the groundskeeper, and a doctor who's basically, his wife has left him and he's turned to alcohol. That's it. The most fleshed out of that 6 is the hyper-religious lady, but she's not, like, it's so weird because she's such a, like, she does get more, like, screen time and character, like, not development. She doesn't get more character development than other people in the movie because she is just as much of a caricature. Like, again, like, this very strange idea of a religious person who, like, again, very much in the cult of personality for this Monsignor priest. Like, but not a very, like, three-dimensional character. Yeah, like, she was not three-dimensional at all. So it was very weird. And again, I feel like in a Knives Out mystery, usually you have, like, really good, interesting, or at least funny side characters, and these ones were just like, that's their one trait, and you're like, okay. And again, like, the main character priest was very fleshed out. Even the Monsignor, who's, like, a terrible person, he actually was rather fleshed out, but then everybody else was just, like window dressing. It was very sad and disappointing, and I was like, gloom. Bringing us back to the first 2, Knives Out, in the first movie, after that first act that shows us everybody, we learn who the murderer is, or do we? And it recontextualizes everything, like, before that and after, because, like, you're thinking the whole time, you're like, wait, like, I know that they did it, but, like, they didn't mean to, and, like, so instead of the normal whodunit, wondering who they are, or even a how catch 'em, like in Columbo, you're like, I don't want them to be caught, but, like, I want, like, So it very much is a twist on the traditional mystery. The second movie, Glass Onion, you have the first and second act, and literally halfway through, we learn a certain thing about someone's identity that recontextualizes everything we thought we just saw for that first half of the movie. The third act re-shows us those scenes so we can think it through and process it, and the last act is the denouement. In Wake Up Dead Man, there is no recontextualization like that. Like, there are twists, there are things that we, learn, but none of it completely changes how we thought about things, or like, completely blows our mind, or, like, makes us have to, like, rewatch the movie thinking, like, differently than we thought, like, which, it's just disappointing. Like, when you have such an amazing thing with, like, the first and the second movie, you want that. The only real subversion, and again, like, I don't think the Glass Onion necessarily subverts anything, and I don't like the whole, like, subverting. And as I mentioned in my Knives Out mystery, review, the reason that it works in Knives Out as a subversion is it subverts your expectations and then delivers a really good classic murder mystery. The only, like, real, like, subversion in Wake Up Dead Man was, like, the way the denouement was delivered was not by the detective, but rather, like, circumstances occur where Blanc basically lets the murderer make their confession to the police at the same time as making a confession to the priest, which is, like, again, I like what they're trying to do. It would be very cool for not a Knives Out mystery, because you never had that, like, really, like, zing in your face, like, oh, denouement. The denouement was very weak. It was just like, yeah, didn't hold together for me. Very sad. And finally, and this is a very strange quibble, but it's because of who I am. Because I love detectives. There was, like, a brief character assassination moment, very brief, and it did not last the whole movie, of Blenoit Blanc, where, because in the first two movies, like, he is always portrayed and introduced as this, like, mild-mannered, southern gentlemanly, like, polite detective. Okay? In Wake Up Dead Man, he, like, goes into the church. Priest doesn't know who he is. Priest is having a very bad day because a murder just happened and everyone thinks he did it. And he, like, turns around and sees this guy and he's like, oh, like, are you here for, like, Easter Mass? It's been canceled because of the murder. And Benoit Blanc goes on this, like, minute-long screed against Catholicism. And I'm like, I know that, like, the movie makers are trying to set up this dichotomy between, like, rationality and faith, which is a false dichotomy, And I know that they are thinking, like, you know, this is, like, the, like, rational detective character saying this, but it just made him look like a bigot. Like, it didn't make him look like a rational, logical person. It made him look like a very emotional, bigoted person. And not like my dear sweet Benoit Blanc. Yeah, and again, I get it. I'm not writing him. Like, technically he's Rian Johnson's character, but, like, in the first two movies, like, that doesn't ring true. Like, that character, I don't think would act the way he acted in that scene. And then for the rest of the movie, he's fine. For the rest of the movie, he's, like, a perfectly polite Southern gentleman, and, like, yeah, he's, like, an atheist, but it's fine. He's not, like, a jerk about it. So I was like, what was that about? It was just kind of out of, like, left field, and I was just like, what is going on? And again, if this was not Knives Out, if this was not Benoit Blanc from the first two movies, if this was my own original character, Blenoit Blanc, random detective, fine. But, like, you have a character. You have his, like, it would be like if Columbo showed up and, like, did some friggin' screed. You're like, Columbo? Really? Like, yeah, it was just very strange. And again, like, seemed extremely out of place for this character in this type of movie. So, yeah. But again, it got okay after that. I was just like, no, I don't think Benoit Blanc, he's, like, so polite. I don't think he would do that. But anyway. Afterwards, it was fine. But anyway, long story short, it was a good mystery and a good movie, but it was severely disappointing as a Knives Out mystery. Yeah. So I would say, like, go see it. The howdunit is very fun and interesting, but, like, don't get your hopes up. Like, some reviewers were like, this is the best one yet, and I'm like, how dare you lie to me? Maybe I just shouldn't trust reviewers. I mean, I don't usually, but I had my hopes up. Anyway, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't up to my snuff. So, yeah, see you later. Bye.